Hello and welcome to this session, Breakthrough to Brilliance, which is for you if you are a misfit or a visionary a visionary, a senior leader, an entrepreneur whose dreams maybe been stamped on and you want to gain the confidence to be able to pursue your dreams confidently with a new sense of knowing exactly what it is that you're here to achieve and the impact that you came to have. And this really has come about because I know within my soul, within my spirit, that there are many people that are really wanting to fulfill their full potential, but that there are things that are getting in the way. So I'm going to go on to that, but I am going to introduce myself first in case you are new to my world. I'm Louise Hallam. I live in Nottingham, which is in the UK, with my husband, John. And I'm a recovering misfit on a magical mystery tour back to wholeness. What does that mean? I worked in the corporate world for 25 years. I never really fitted in. I wanted to do everything different from everybody else. And it was only when I left and trained as a meditation teacher, and then I worked with a spiritual mentor, that I realized that there was so much more to me. There was so much more that I had to bring to the world, and the impact that I'm here to make is huge. But there was a lot of things that I had to get out of the way first, a lot of limiting beliefs, fears, ancestral patterns, things from this lifetime, things from past lifetimes, depending on what you buy into. There is a whole myriad of things that might be preventing or blocking us from pursuing our dreams. And I'm going to talk about why this is specifically for misfits and visionaries. So when I was younger, I really wanted to be Blondie, the singer. I just loved her, adored her, admired her, thought she was so intriguing and sort of mesmerizing. And you could feel her energy, sort of palpable energy through her music and everything that she did. And so in the spirit of it's never too late, when I speak my truth, and then when I'm in my authentic flow and creative state, I truly believe that I am that rock chick, because I feel like I have that invincibility to be able to achieve anything I want to. And that's what I want for you as well. So what am I going to do in this session? So I've committed myself to using about 5 slides, which is something I really rarely very do much of these days, but I know that a lot of people want that sort of safety and security of having some slides. So as a corporate misfit, this is one of the things that just sends shivers shivers down my spine, which is the hours and hours that I probably spent formatting PowerPoint. So but I've only got a few of those, and then I'm going to move on to the healing session. So I will have picked up on the energy of the people that have showed an interest and signed up for this session. But whenever you watch this, if you're watching it on replay, you will also receive the healing for a collective healing. It will be received exactly the same if you watch it on the replay as well. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what makes you a misfit and a visionary, and what does that mean for you, and why this session is for you. And then I'm going to do a healing session, which will be between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on what comes through. So I advise you to either get comfortable in a chair, or maybe get yourself a blanket, or you can come back and listen to that part separately. You can do it lying down, but obviously there is a risk that you might fall to sleep if you do that. So that's up to you. It's doing whatever you feel comfortable, but please do take time to have the space where you won't be disturbed for at least 30 minutes. So what is a misfit? I'm guessing that if you're here, you have a perception that this is a role that you fit into, a place that you fit into. And so you've always maybe tended to see things that different. You've never followed the crowd. You want to do things out of the norm, and maybe you were like left on the edges of things. Potentially you could have been bullied, but if you weren't bullied, then maybe you were not always included in things. You may be like been left out of things, and this is a pattern that's kind of stuck with you. So you always seem to act differently from everyone else. You get a bit misunderstood. People don't always get what you're talking about. They don't always understand your point of view. Very much not being listened to or heard. And you also might find it difficult to find your tribe, which means you also stop yourself from getting the help and support that you need to move through the blocks that you hold in order to move forward. And it means that you can also tend to play small when you know you were meant for more. You have a vision, you have a mission and a purpose that you're aware of, or you know that there's something that runs much deeper within you, but you find it impossible to move past some things that have sort of stuck with you as being because of being a misfit. So if you're a misfit, you may also be a visionary, because people who don't do things the same as everyone else tend to have a much more interesting way of looking at the world. They see possibility where other people don't. They see different ways of doing things that feel quite radical to everyone else. And let's face it, we're living in a very changing world. So at the moment, this is the best time for misfits and visionaries to come out of the shadows, show people what you can do, show them different ways of doing things. And people are, although they are still maybe not open to every kind of new thing, at some point very near in the future, people will be having to consider different ways of doing things, because the old ways are going to continue to break down. We're going to continue to struggle with the way that we've done things as a society, in government, in financial structures. And so when you're waving your flag, if you start waving your flag now, then even though you feel as though people aren't going to hear you, they are going to start listening to those messages from people who are going to be doing things differently. So you want to be setting out your story. You want to be setting out who you are. You want to be pushing yourself forward now, so that you don't then get lost in the crowd when the time comes that everyone is going to be clambering for new ways of doing things. So you've got a vision and a mission that you know that can impact the world now and also for future generations. You know that you've got something that makes you stand out. It's the spark that ignites your passion. But this can get dimmed by those things I've talked about, the limiting beliefs, the way that maybe you were treated, or maybe there's some irrational fears that come up because the way that we see the world, the way that we experience the world, the way that we experience growth and expansion can often be impacted by the way that we were treated, the way that we experience things in not only our formative years, but also in environment that we grew up in, but also in past ancestral patterns around visibility, around being seen, around persecution. These are very, very common traits, particularly for people who are taking growth steps, who are wanting to be seen and heard in the world. And these are really common things that come up, and they can stop you from doing things because you didn't fit in. You were kind of chased or tortured or persecuted. You were not allowed to practice the very thing that you are here to do in a healing capacity. And when I talk about things in as a healing capacity, there's many different variations of that. So even if you work in the corporate world, there are different ways that you can help and heal people that maybe you're already doing, but you don't even know you're doing, or you're not aware of. And once you can unlock the full potential of those, then there is an unlimitedness to how you can help other people, how you can help other businesses, how you can help yourself if you're in business to grow and expand and to develop and to be seen and make an impact in the world. And so you've got these dreams, but you just don't want someone to stamp on them. You don't want to be sharing your dreams, and for someone to go, well, that's impossible. You don't have the ability to do that. You don't have the gifts to do that. Because if these are your dreams, then these or some variation of your dream is possible. It's entirely possible to achieve them. And this is what I want to introduce you to, the idea of that you can break through to your brilliance by connecting to the very thing that is driving your dream, and therefore can be pulled into reality by following a different way of being, following different ways of understanding the world and understanding yourself as someone who has been a misfit and is a visionary and really wants to make that impact. Actually, I just wanted to talk about a couple of examples of people that are fit into this sort of category, and the ones that I can think of are Brené Brown, who kind of turns up on stage in her jeans and her trainers, and said, I never wanted to go on stage in any other way, but also talks about the importance of maybe having to go it alone at some point in order to completely stand by everything that you believe in, everything that you stand for, everything that you want to achieve and dream, even if nobody else understands you or no one else agrees with you. And the kind of strength and courage that takes. I'm just looking for the book, which is Brave in the Wilderness, that I've got. She's got others, but the idea that you have to be able to stand in that complete belief of what you're doing in order to stand out for what you do. She talks about this in her books, and it's the confidence that you need to be able to do that. It's the belief in yourself that you need to be able to do that, and you need to unravel some things, to unravel some layers of conditioning, belief, etc., to be able to achieve that. There's also the entrepreneur Stephen Bartlett. I hope I've got that right. I just thought I couldn't remember his name right. But Stephen Bartlett, who's obviously an entrepreneur. He's got the podcast Diary of a CEO that has multi-million subscribers. He's a multi-millionaire, fingers in many pies. I think he's still early in his 30s. But he does everything differently. You can see that people are absolutely drawn to his energy. They're drawn to the passion that he has for business, but he is giving all the time little nuggets of information about doing things differently. But he's had the confidence from having a tough start and a tough beginning and dropping out of university to be able to instill that inspiration in other people and motivation through his own, development and pure belief in the way that he does things as being right, even though they're different. And then you've got the ex-Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, who, famously, people thought she was a bit almost too nice, too emotional, these typical things that come out when people are able to lead countries and people don't understand how they're doing it so well because nobody else can do it. Because she was being her authentic self. She had the belief in the way that she was doing things. She had belief in the way that she could operate and wasn't afraid to use those ways to lead and to lead a country. But by her own admittance, that can be exhausting when no one else is kind of backing your corner in the way that you do things, which means that in order to operate at that level, to operate with that energy, you need to understand your energy levels. You need to understand what's going on for yourself emotionally, and you need to be able to monitor and self-regulate that. And that's another thing that can be a barrier if that's not an environment that you grew up in, where you were able to healthily process and regulate your emotions. So you've got big dreams, you want to stand out, but there's stuff that gets in your way. And the other thing is that not everybody, but a lot of people, certainly a lot of people who have that label of we're not calling it a label, but that understanding of themselves as being different can be very sensitive. And this is when you're led by your emotions rather than logical thinking. But the worlds that you operate in, let's face it, most corporate worlds, even the world of business, running in one yourself, is thought to be led by logical thinking, and things are done in a logical space, which means that if you are led by your emotions, you're constantly trying to do things from the opposite of your most comfortable state, which can be exhausting. And this is the sort of masculine versus feminine energy. You're expected in leadership to be in a very masculine energy, but actually you can get very effective results leading from feminine energy, which tends to be more caring, more nurturing, more emotional, rather than analytical and logical. Now, there is always a place and a time to use analytical and logical solutions to things. If you're in an emergency, a crisis situation, so the last place that I worked in, we had a global cyber attack. So we had all our systems shut down and infiltrated, and somebody had to do something about that. So if you'd have been led by your emotions trying to manage that situation, would that have been effective? No. So if you'd been just worrying about how everybody was feeling and whether they'd got whether they were all feeling happy and hunky-dory, then that wouldn't have been effective. Did you need to take fast, decisive action? Then yes, of course you did. So that means you were working in that masculine energy. So it's choosing the right energy for the right situation, the right time, and then riding the crest of the waves of when you're also in the creative energy, inspirational energy, versus the more reflective or resting of your energy. You're also sensitive if you pick up on other people's energy and emotions, which can obscure your own feelings. So you can be confusing how you are feeling with the energy or emotion of someone else or a place that you've been to. So you can pick up energy from places, you can pick energy up from cars, buildings, roaming free, you can pick them up anywhere. So it's actually really important to protect your space and your energy if you do feel like you are sensitive. So you can be sensitive to things like real life crime, horror stories, anything that's in the news, which is, like a unpleasant incident. You might become emotionally attached to that and you can't easily forget about it. These are some of the examples, and that's why it's really important to maintain your energy by cleansing and protecting it every single day. It's really important. And you can also dwell on insignificant events longer than other people, which can take the focus off the important things, because you feel like you have an emotional connection to someone. So you might see something in the street which is not, it's not particularly or not particularly unpleasant, but you keep going back to it, you keep returning to it, because maybe thinking, well, is that person okay? Should I have helped them? So you focus on things longer, you tend more likely to be an overthinker and a worrier, and suffer from anxiety and stress. Excuse me, too much chatting. So the combination of all of these things, being a misfit, a visionary, and possibly a sensitive soul, gives you particular challenges when you're wanting to up level yourself, or when you're wanting to grow, when you're wanting to expand, when you're wanting to make impact, when you have a message. And the last thing that I'm going to refer to before we do the healing is that our values, so when we hold very strong values about things, these can often be one of the keys to our particular mission or purpose that we came to do within this lifetime. Or it certainly means that if we are finding it difficult to uphold our values, it can be frustrating and conflicting for us. And we therefore tend to return to a default of not being able to express ourselves, not being able to do the work that we're doing because we don't believe that it is aligned with our true values. And these values are coming from an expression of ourself that we may or may not have insight into. So we're in this constant conflict of not being able to express how we feel about not being able to align with those values, or not being able to work with those values. So it's really thinking about whether the work that you're doing or the place that you work allows you to have this expression of those values, your personal values, rather than the ones that you work within business. And how much time are you allowed to do things that mean that you can uphold those values, or a place at least where you can express what they are and why they're important to you. And that connection, that deep sense of connection to those values, will often bring you insight as to what is your mission and purpose, and what is the impact that you came here to do, what is the particular gift that you may hold that means that more than anything is important to you as something that needs to be upheld. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. There's so much more that I could cover, but I want to get on to the healing session for you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to do the healing session, as I say, which will be for roughly 20 to 30 minutes. I want you to find somewhere that you will not be disturbed for at least the next 30 minutes. If you are seated, then ensure that your feet are planted firmly upon the ground. Your arms and legs are uncrossed. And you are comfortably seated, relaxing your shoulders, your chest, your arms, fingers, toes, legs, knees, shins and ankles. You're allowing anything that has been occupying your mind just to drift away for this time that we are together. Feeling it just drifting, allowing it to go, releasing any tension or tightness in any area of the body. Allowing a sense of peace and calm to overcome you. Perhaps relaxing for the first time today. Knowing that this is a space that you can feel safe in, supported, and that you enter with an open mind and an open heart, allowing whatever healing that is necessary for you today to arise. Allowing yourself the kindness, the compassion, and the love to open up to this healing today, allowing you to break through to the brilliance that is within you, that has maybe been kept small or kept in the shadows, stopped or blocked in any way, or just stuck on a particular way of being, a particular way of thinking about yourself and the mission and impact that you came to make. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to close your eyes, take a couple of nice deep breaths, and open the cinema screen of your mind. And as you become familiar with the cinema screen of your mind, I want you to imagine that you find yourself at a writing desk. And the setting of this writing desk is important. It is relevant to your vision, to your mission, to the impact that you came to make. So I want you to take a few moments to familiarize yourself with the environment that you have found yourself in, the place that you have found yourself in, where you are seated at a writing table, and even the chair that you are sat in, the implements that are sat upon the desk, the paper, the pens. There are no computers or laptops here, or iPods or phones. So I want you to look around and see where you are. What kind of age is the desk that you're sat at? How big is it? And if you are unable to visualize, then just imagine what comes to you without overthinking it, without trying to question it. And this is the familiar place for you to be. So even looking around the room, you recognize this room, but you maybe have never been in it before. And maybe there are shelves of books. And I even want you to notice what you see out of the window. There is a window to the right of this writing desk, and I want you to look out of the window. You have a clear view out. And I want you to notice what is out of this window. What can you see clearer than day? And it may be in the distance. So right now it's in the distance. And I just want you to now place your hand on this familiar desk, and there is a drawer which is locked. And you reach into a pocket or a box on the table if you don't have any pockets. And there is a small key in here. And this small key obviously fits this drawer. So you open the drawer. And you find one or more objects which symbolize a block, an obstacle, a belief, a pattern, an energy or an emotion or a collection of thoughts which are subconsciously ruling how you are perceiving your own brilliance currently. And you may want to make a note in your mind of the objects so you can recall any significance in a later time. But for now, you place them into a waste paper basket, which is again to the right of the writing desk on the floor. So you place them all in one fell swoop with no hesitation. And this either instigates or activates your desire, your will, your wish to release all of these beliefs, obstacles, thoughts, energies, and emotions that are blocking your breakthrough to brilliance at this current time. And you may feel a shift of energy within your body, within your energy field, or you may notice where something is beginning to move, or you may notice the sensation of releasing, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally. Just a reminder that you are in a safe, sacred space where you're being held and supported and guided, and everything is okay. But if you do feel that you do need to take a pause, take a rest, then you can return anytime. And so all of the objects that have been placed within the waste paper bin have disappeared. They've disappeared on an energetic realm, but they may still be here within your subconsciousness. They will take time, and there may be action that you need to take in order to completely transcend and transform them, but you will be guided to these shortly. And so this process of releasing, transcending, transforming will continue after this session in the days and weeks to come. And you now bring your attention back to the window. And you realize now that you can open the window. And as you open the window, you realize that it's a bright sunny day and the sun is shining down on your face, on your body. You feel yourself in complete sunlight, bathed in sunshine, this beautiful light. And in your mind's eye, you just close your eyes just for a moment and feel that warm peace wash over you, bringing you peace and comfort. And then as you're standing there, you reach out your hand and you notice that there is an animal or a bird which has brought you a letter. And it's almost as if you are in a Alice in Wonderland world, or Snow White, or some kind of fairy tale or Disney film, as this animal, be it large, be it small, or a bird which might land upon your hand, has this envelope, this letter in its mouth or in its beak or in its paw. It's perfectly safe, whatever animal it is. But I want you to take note of what the animal is. And I want you to listen to the significance of it being this animal that's brought you this letter. And so you take the letter from the animal and it wanders off or flies away. And you close the window, sit back down at the desk, and you open the letter, which may have one of those old-fashioned seals on it. So you open the letter, pull out the letter, and you begin to read. And within this letter, there is a message, a detailed message for you as to what is the essence of your brilliance. What is it that is getting in your way? And what action do you need to take immediately that is going to help you to push through, to break through to your brilliance, so that you can start to make the impact that you want to, so that you can begin to return to a sense of wholeness and beauty and love and compassion for yourself, whilst also getting your message out into the world, out to the people that you work with, work for, or responsible for, in a way that is aligned with your truth and your authentic self, which means that it feels as though it's a natural expression of who you are, and that your values sit at the very heart of it, and you may get complete clarity on your values, your core values, and why these are important to you. And I'm going to leave you for a moment to read this message and digest it. So at this point, you may need more time to digest the letter or to read the letter, so you can pause the journey and restart it when you have completed. And so you place the letter back into the envelope and you place it back into your drawer, and you lock the drawer and put the key away. And actually, the letter is a letter that contains different messages if you return. For now, you are asked to integrate and assimilate the messages you have received today. So for today, you have received the very healing that you required to break through to your brilliance at whichever stage you are at now, to engage with the next level. You have only received what you are capable of accepting and receiving today. And you may wish to make notes when you come out of this journey, or there may be things that come to your mind that you wish to make a note of, even if they don't make sense to you right at this very moment. And I want you to just start to bring yourself back to this present moment, back to the room that we are in, that you are in. Becoming aware of your feet upon the floor, where you've placed your hands, maybe wiggling your fingers and toes, allowing awareness to come back into your body, to be fully present in your body, aware of any new sensations, feelings, emotions, thoughts. And when you are ready, and in your own time, you can open your eyes. Thank you for being part of this session. So if it's the first time that you have experienced healing of this kind, then do be kind and gentle to yourself. There are things that may come to mind. There may be shifts of energy, shifts of physical energy. Ensure that you drink plenty of water, and if you are asked to rest, then take the time to rest, because as the journey said, the meditation said, the healing will continue and continue to activate, and you may receive guidance and information. So if you do have any questions, then do get in touch with me, and I will endeavour to answer what comes up for you. And so this is a session that can be repeated as many times as you like. You'll get different information, you'll get a different letter or a different message, or you may even be guided to just return to the same letter with a slightly different action or message. This, it will always be different each time, or just a reminder of something if you haven't absorbed the original message. As it also said, you'll only receive what you are capable of receiving. There will be many layers to this, but this would be the very initial stage of it, and you will, you'll only receive what you're capable of receiving. So please take full responsibility for your own well-being, and I'd love to know what exciting things that you were made aware of, and also the animal or the bird that you were shown, because I may be able to give you a bit of insight as to that, but you can also look it up. I mean, I often have to look them up, so you can look them up on the internet as well. Spiritual meaning of animals that will have a significance. So I was asked to give you that as a significance, so they will be important. So thank you for being part of this breakthrough to brilliance session. I've loved connecting with you energetically, and I will hopefully connect with you one way or another at another stage. So thank you for being part of this session. I'm sending you blessings of love and light.